Welcome back to another episode of the Bridge the Gap podcast powered by Revenue Reimagined. Today's guest is someone who quite literally wrote the book on modern outbound. Aaron Ross is the author of Predictable Revenue, a playbook that's influenced just about probably every SaaS sales org over the last decade. He helped Salesforce design and implement the cold calling 2.0 model that added over 100 million in recurring revenue, and since then has advised hundreds of companies on building scalable sales systems. But today, we're not just going to talk about looking backward. We're not going to focus on predictable revenue. We're going to talk about what's changed, what parts of the playbook still work, what needs to be rethought, and most importantly, Aaron, where GTM strategy is headed next. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Sounds good. You guys are going to start off the laundry list. Like, how many people today have said, "Oh, predictable revenue is dead"?
Nah. It's so funny because people are trying to figure that out. It's just so much data, right? There's so much data out there. It's like, what do you put your predictability on?
Yeah, or the SDR is dead, or you know, this is dead, or I mean, it's good. Makes for good marketing. Some people actually believe what they're saying, and I think once you're older, you're like, nothing actually ever dies. Direct mail,
repurposed.
Direct mail is still alive and kicking. You know, steak dinners.
Listen, we have clients that get some of their biggest deals from direct mail.
So it's just more channels, more stuff.
It's just different direct mail. You can't send the same crappy postcard that everyone sends. You got to stand out.
Yeah, it makes for better controversy though if you say that something people are familiar with is dead. So
yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's funny. My wife's an interior designer, and she says also, she's like, we did that 15 years ago, and now it's coming all back. Like everything, like is all cyclical.
Yeah, bell bottoms 70s and then 90s is probably back time for the bell bottoms to come back.
Exactly, Aaron. So you wrote the book that launched like 1,000 outbound teams. What do you think people still get right when they follow it, and what is going to happen when they miss the mark? Like you wrote the book, and people followed it, and they did really well, and then they missed the mark. Like what went well and what didn't? What goes well and not go well in that process?
Well, the thing is, I think when people read, so the original book is Predictable Revenue, and then there's a sequel called From Impossible to Inevitable. And when people read, especially the Predictable Revenue book, and or they used it and they're successful, and then the world changes, and so there's a lot of these people who say, so the book was basically the key ideas were, you need to have predictable lead generation in order to create predictable growth. And a lot of people here would be like, yeah, duh. But actually, there's a time, and it wasn't that long ago, when most SaaS companies or B2B companies wanted to grow revenue by adding salespeople. So again, so separating the closing and the selling, so specializing your teams, predictable pipelines and lead generation, seeds, nets, different kinds of leads. So there's these core principles. We can go through some of those. And what people would do is, all right, we're going to build an outbound team, and we're going to send email, make calls, and have SDRs. And any kind of channel was a victim of its own success. Right, blogging, email, SEO, like it's just all the same. So of course, as every channel gets more flooded, and this is also for future channels, because this is not just something that only happened in the past. Like any channel, right. LinkedIn, they all get flooded. And so of course it's not something today, whether it's email or calling or LinkedIn, it doesn't pick your channel, or direct mail. You just can kind of spray and pray. Like you actually could do that and get great results 10 years ago. Sure. But now, and you need to just be better, more targeted, more insightful, like nothing new, more targeted, more insightful, more empathetic, which means you understand them more closely, knowing where they are, what they look, what they're interested in, and that could have changed in the last 3 months or 6 months. And so the last bit I put on is that, again, like AI, I think it's like, AI is going to change all kinds of stuff. And there's some changes we don't know. What it hasn't done yet is create new kinds of work. We don't even know what that is yet. That'll happen. We don't know.
Right.
And so, of course, all the SDR is dead, and the BDR is dead, and the XDR is dead. And first of all, no, it's not. But the idea, actually, the core, so the thing is, people confuse the tactics with the book with, there's these core principles that were there. So specialization of your team is a core principle, right? You need more types of people, more types of jobs, you can do fewer things better, whether they're human or whether they're agentic. So the SDR, and also not every company should do outbound. Not every company should do blogging or content. So it's like, you have to know your business.
Can we pause 1 second? What you just said is so true. Not every company should do outbound. Aaron, you don't know how many people we speak to that the very first thing they say to us, we need to build outbound, and we need to do it because we need to send out 40,000 messages.
Oh my God. I guess exactly.
Take a step back.
Well, okay, think about, they've got the pressure cooker of, let's say they have investors. Yep. Some don't. Okay, well, either there's investors, or maybe they're not, or the CEO, if they're not the CEO, or they've got social pressure, right? Mm-hmm. Compare and despair. Like, there's all that. We're living in a society of, it's like this swimming in basically like fake pressure. It's not even real, right? It's just all societal. Like, you don't have to grow at 100% a year to get the funding, to get the thing. Like, you don't have to. It's this weird, like, it's a new rat race. It's not the 100%. Corporate rat race. It's the societal rat race, or the SaaS rat race, or the AI rat race. What do you pick your rat race?
It's the segment of like hypergrowth. Like, who's like, show me one place where hypergrowth has ever worked. Like, you scale quickly if you're a unicorn, but by luck most of the time. It's not like you plan to hypergrowth.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, like, if you do it and want to do it, great, amazing. If you want to raise money, great. If you don't want to raise money, great. I think it gets caught up in people. It's like in the whole, they're like the ego. It's the validation, the ego, and also like that addiction of success. Like, money can be addictive in its way, and an ego, and having to raise from a certain amount from a certain VC and a certain valuation, or hit a certain growth rate. If you're not doing that, you feel like a failure, because especially for, it used to be mostly men, and now I think it's, probably evening out, because if you don't hit that and like these external factors of signals of success, then, because we're not taught to grow up with some sort of inner self-confidence that is mostly disconnected from external validation. Reality. Like, come on, like, of course we all, and so again, it's like, I'm failing as a person if I don't have it. So there's this big tangled web around why people come in like, I need to do, let's say, outbound, right? Because it could be, I need to lose weight, gain weight, I need to get married, or not get married, or get whatever. I need to do outbound. I send all these messages because there's this pressure. And yep. Again, I'd be happy to tell people, and I don't even do outbound consulting anymore, is like, just don't do outbound. Right, and see if they fight you on it. If they really need to do it, they'll probably, figure it out. And then if they do need to do it, when I was doing it for a long time, a lot of those things, look, it's going to take you 6 to 18 months to see real revenue from it. Like, basically, it's going to take longer than you want. You need to make sure you have the right people doing the right things and the right expectations. And yeah, of course, you get all the stories. People are always going to publish case studies that are the 1% success cases, right? That's the news, right? You get the unicorn and the Instagram case studies. You get the AI rants from 0 to 6 million ARR in 9 months, because those are exciting. But that's not what most people are doing. So again, it's this distorted reality distortion that we all live in. If you can kind of see that, it's like, how are you the tail or are you the dog? If I get that right, is it wagging you or are you wagging it? And so, yeah, it's all this weird, pressure. And I think what it does is, I'm seeing even more now, whether it's outbound or not, it could be, if I do work or on boards, it's usually around go-to-market and growth. But there's a lot of companies that they, ping pong around. Let's try this, let's try that. Or even within outbound, let's try these, let's try that. And let's try, this kind of SEO. And because it's not working fast enough. And so they switch. And I don't know.
Before it works.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Aaron, let me ask you. So if you were to sit down today and write kind of the 2025 version of predictable revenue, what's the one thing off the top of your head that is in the first book that wouldn't make the cut today?
Okay. I mean, it's a good question. So, well, I would say, like, for the predictable revenue book, there was something that was not in that book that made it into the second book, the From Impossible book, which was the very first chapter, that is nailing a niche. Right. Mm-hmm. So that was that's online. Okay. So today, and I'm not planning on I'm not going to write a book, although I'm talking to people about helping, advising them on helping them think through it and write one. To me, ultimately, like, where I do speaking and I give talks and I have ideas in this area, but where I go to is, there's these key principles that still apply. People struggle with specializing your, basically sales team, whether they're human or not, more jobs so people can do fewer things better. It's nailing a niche, which is you have to be even more insightful and more specific and more targeted. And these are not going to, so AI will change lots of things. They're not going to change these principles. So renailing your niche. Another was, again, it's like just rethinking how you're creating predictable pipeline, because the channels are always changing and the metrics are changing. And also what worked 6 months ago may not work today. So it's kind of more, though, adaptive to it as well. Another is culture. To me, so here, okay, so that's kind of reviewing the stuff that still is relevant or more so in an overwhelming world. The newer stuff, I touched on this in the prior books, but really I would expand on creating a culture, like a growth culture, which is combining some level of challenge, which most people have, but with caring. Sort of, I think what's missing in general is needed more than ever in both a hybrid / remote world and an AI busy world, is ways that you can connect with your team, because how you do that will affect a lot of things, including, their loyalty, their belief in the company, their belief in the product, and the way they treat customers, as well as your ability to grow them and their ability to contribute. So that would be a bigger section of focus. And the last one, which is be the newest part, which wasn't, I alluded to some of this in prior books. Even in predictable revenue, I had an example around how I worked with my team to, have them help redo the comp plans, like a collaborative approach.
Yeah.
But the newest section would be, I give this talk now. It's called Creating Predictable Revenue in an Unpredictable World. So it touches on these things and to look for the future. I don't know where AI is going to take things. It's exciting, also scary.
Yeah.
No one really knows. But one thing that will serve you well, no matter what happens, the thing that is the most durable, or can be, are relationships. Now, those relationships can look like how you treat your internal people, how your relationships with your team. It can be your relationships that your salespeople create and have with customers. It could be your relationship with your market. It could be doing a one-to-many or one-to-one, right? I've created a lot of relationships that are more one-to-many through books and things. It could be a lot of companies are focusing on partner ecosystems, communities, and partners. So there's a lot of ways you can take this and, apply it to your business. But relationships, to me, no matter what happens on the tech side, are going to be things that help you have more durable success. Say relationships combined with some sort of systems equal durable growth. That's like the newest thing for the future.
I love that. Someone just asked me a very similar question on LinkedIn. Like, okay, so like if outbound is dead,
which
as
it's
you
not,
say it,
of course,
and 100%. But where's the focus? And my initial gut is relationships, go to network, social selling, making sure that you're like fostering and nurturing those relationships. And I think going back to my old sales leader days, like a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I have a relationship." Well, what is a relationship? A relationship has to be bi-directional, right? A relationship isn't that I can, I have Aaron's cell phone number and I can text him and he gives me a thumbs up. A relationship is we can actually have a conversation and ask each other to help one another.
Well, it doesn't have to be bi-directional, but yeah, it can be.
Tell me more.
Well, there's lots of people I reach out to that I don't really know, but they know me, and they will refer me on, or like we're doing I have a friend, right? So I have a friend. Here's a good example where maybe the future. I met him through another sales guide. He's an entrepreneur with a sales business in Germany, right? I'm in Europe. I moved to Edinburgh from Los Angeles, 6 years ago. Just great guy. Like we have a good time, like good friends. And we've kind of wanted to do something together, some kind of business together. And I've known him for like 2 or 3 years. Finally, we're like, okay, let's do an event in Munich. We'll just do it in like 6 weeks and invite some sales leaders and so on. And, I'm messaging people on LinkedIn about this event, and I'm getting a lot of responses, and a lot of people say, hey, I like this, your book, or I saw this, and like they know me better than I know them. It's starting a 2-way relationship, but start off as 1-way. So
good point.
Yeah.
And it's that one to many you were talking about. So it's interesting because that is what's kind of happening at a macro level. Like people are trying to do one to manys a lot, podcasts,
founder led content.
LinkedIn is a great example. There's how many people you have, hundreds of thousands of followers, like how many people do you really know, right? But you put something out there like, hey, I'm going to be in Germany doing this event. And they're like, yeah, be interested in seeing what's going on.
Yeah. And I think, speaking of founder, so again, we can create one-to-many relationships through content, through events, through brand, through these things. It's fine. For me, and I watch some of these guys, like Adam Robinson's, he's obviously done really well. He's one of the predictable revenues dead guys. And there's some others, but I know that you got to decide what's the other thing that I would include too is you really got to figure out, how to stick to your core. I don't know if that's the right term, but in a really busy world, it's like, you as a person, whether you're an entrepreneur or a salesperson, it's like, how can you continue to figure out what you're the best at or really good at or want to be really good at, and kind of try to offload the things you're not great at. And for example, I'm not great at consistent content, right? The content treadmill that the LinkedIn, the founder led content guys do, I can't. That's not my book content. Like that's where I'm a book person. When I do content, it's usually towards books. If I'm meeting people, I'm thinking, I like meeting people, but if there's more of a business context, like maybe they'd be interested in a book or refer the book, or that's my lens. But I'm 53 now, and I've even in those last 5 years, kind of really saw that. So, again, it's this, I think another part of the book is, it's a different version of specialization. It's more like each person in such a busy world where it's so confusing and there's so many demands on you from so many people, friends, family, teammates, customers, et cetera. How can you kind of continue to figure out what you can and should be, really great at, and try to offload as much of the other stuff as you can.
People buy from people. That's why companies who invest in meaningful connections win. The best part? Gifting doesn't have to be expensive to drive results, just thoughtful. Sendoso's intelligent gifting platform is designed to boost personalized engagement throughout the entire sales process. Trust me, I led sales for a Sendoso competitor, and I could tell you, no one does gifting better than Sendoso. If you're looking for a proven way to win and retain more customers, visit sendoso.com.
Yeah, definitely. So let's take a little bit of a shift. You've worked with tons of leadership teams. You've gone through a bunch of work. What's the biggest thing that you're seeing today that's not working? What's in the go-to-market strategy, and where do they go look first? Something's not working. It's a common pattern. Where do they go first to get that fixed?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm trying to think. I'm on a couple boards, and I've been on. I'm just thinking. I think first of all, there's so many different types of companies and challenges, but I do think that a common theme is that there's so many things that can work and things that you should be doing that people just get too scattered doing too many things. It's kind of marketing is
it a priority thing? Is it a priority thing, or is it not putting the work in type of thing?
No, I think it's just trying to juggle too many balls because there's so many you feel like you need to be doing. And you feel like it's a version of, I think usually the fear of missing out, whether it's driven by investors to CEO to VP, whatever it could be sales, could be marketing, could be product features. It's just really hard for people to kind of zone in on what are these few things we really need to do that are the most important. And remember, okay, they're going to take longer than we think they will to get really right. Right? Because as humans, we all think, it'll take 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. In reality, it's 3 times that. Yeah. So, it's really stick to that.
I wish more people knew that. I wish more people knew, just because you are a sales leader or you've done it in the past or you've done it somewhere else, it's just different. You have to go through the process. You have to evolve and figure out where the challenge is before you can fix it. Yeah. And then you got to give it time to get fixed.
Yeah. And I think something that's really been lost in the shuffle, and I haven't gotten anyone to really zone in on this, honestly. So I'm not sure why, or, so going back to this talk I gave about relationships, and I have these examples. I'm still but there's one example that is, I don't have a term for it, but it's kind of like customer, refer some sort of referral playbook. So this is maybe people are so overwhelmed and so busy they can't I think this is a great idea, and I don't know, I maybe just can't fit because it doesn't fit their current playbook. But And I'm like, okay. And I've had a conversation with the CEO. I'm like, dude, the number one thing you need to do is talk to customers and then ask them for referrals to other customers. And there's ways to help with that, right? There's all kinds of tools to surface. I'm going to talk to Bob, and here's 3 people kind of like Bob I'm going to talk to. And he just, I think he's overwhelmed, right? He just can't get it in his mind that that's like an incredibly valuable. And then meanwhile, he's trying to do like SEO and even outbound. I'm like, don't do this stuff. Like, it's just not resonating.
Referrals are like, that's number one. Like if you have a referral in a conversation, that's interesting that they wouldn't take that handshake.
Yeah, well, it's work. And I think so. There's a couple things. One, I think it's when people are really stressed, they revert, their processing power goes down, and they can kind of only do what they've done before. It's like, think about all the salespeople or executives. You're like, I'm not getting enough deals. I just need to like make more calls. My calls aren't working. I need to make more calls. Or my emails aren't working. I need to send more email. So there's something about humans, like, because it happens often enough, it's almost like not their fault, because it's just like the way we revert in a fight or flight towards doing more of the same thing. And it's like, if it's a new process,
the same result.
Yeah, and same in relationships, same in business. It's like there's a human thing there, and like to do a new habit, a new process, a new thing is just by there's this big chunk of brain power, and if your brain can fit this much in, it just, I don't know, like it slides off or something. But I'll tell you, the gist of it is, I understand why referrals are not like very systematized, and especially like B2B companies. Part of that is kind of me like promoting specialization, because you have, prospect, there's SDR types, and there's salespeople, and then there's customer success or account managers. And so now you've got this misalignment of incentive. I feel like a corporate or person now, but the people who need more meetings don't have the relationships with the customers who have the, referrals. And so in my mind, if you said, look, we're going to make this a priority. And so once when people are basically signing, or 3 to 6 months later, once they've got some great results and they're happy, have a conversation with them. So there has to be some kind of teamwork aspect where revenue, accountability people talk with the customer success, the relationship owners, and say, look, let's jointly go to this customer, say, hey, would you be okay? We've had some success. If there's some other people that we think could be benefit as well, could we ask you to make some intros to make it easy on you, right? And it should be a live conversation, not some automated email, because people don't, and they say, hopefully, yes. And then later they go back and, again, you can surface, hey, here's 2 prospects this person might know. Would you mind making these intros? So it's more of like you do need some teamwork, and there's some new kind of metrics, and there's a new playbook of some. It's not like that big a deal, but it is a different playbook with different stuff. So I think it just hasn't clicked for people yet. And I don't have the right term for people to be like, oh shit, why aren't we doing this? Why are we doing this, investing in all this money on all these other channels, which might be working or may not, and we're just ignoring potentially the best one and the one position for the future. So that's my little soapbox.
No, I think this has been something that has been talked about for 5 years, 10 years. Like when you first sign the contract, potentially you have the honeymoon period, like there could be references or referrals there. And then like you're saying, like 3 months in, you get like some success. Like once you get the first success, like then you may want to have that second conversation. I think in many cases, the CS team, who is now transitioning over the last 12 months into a more revenue generating organization, is starting to run that play. It needs to be probably built a bit more succinct. Like maybe you run some AI to scrape their LinkedIn to find people that are in your ICP and say, hey, can you make me introduction? Like if you don't know anybody, here are a couple of people that I think would make good introductions, and they may know them or they may not know them.
Yeah, and I have a buddy creating something called Connect the Dots to help with that. And there's other companies who've tried this over the years, and there's one other aspect to this, which is it's not just a one-time thing. You need to be able to recharge the battery, because if you ask for too many referrals, maybe it's even 3 in 1 month. The person, they call it battery. It's like drains the battery. So there's this other aspect. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it'd be it's not, big a deal to figure out something that's going to work to help power that. It's one of these things where I might just need to have a couple case studies and examples where people are like, oh, okay, wow, someone else did it. And it kind of makes it easier for me to understand how it would work and what to do. And now I can fit it into my little mental tunnel to make it work in my place, my company.
Aaron, what's next for GTM? So predictable revenue, let's get predictive go-to-market. What's coming down the pipe? We know obviously AI is huge, but where is buyer behavior going to shift, call it in the next 12 to 24 months? And like with AI, where are people going to miss out? Where is it being used wrong?
I don't know. Well, the first thing, AI is only going to be around for, not necessarily that long. It's because it's going to be a utility like, internet, electricity, and gas.
Yeah.
It's kind of the internet.
Absolutely.
When the internet first came out, it was like, oh, it's an internet company. And then after a few years, it's like, well, it's just a company that is. So I don't know. Again, I think time and again, there's the obvious improvements, accelerations of things that we're already doing. But there's all kinds of things that will be created that we don't really know yet. So like once you have agent to agent, buying and selling or researching nobody really knows. And plus no one really knows, it is true that the speed of the change that could happen and also including the job market could be ugly. I don't know. More likely to be ugly than smooth because again, it's probably gonna happen so fast. It could happen so fast. And everyone who can talk about.
I was reading an article the other day. The CEO of Anthropic was saying 50% of white collar jobs he believes could be taken over by AI, leading to like a 10 to 20% unemployment.
Yeah,
rate.
Maybe. He also he's got some sort of agenda in this too. It's not like he's it's what
little one, right?
Yeah. And lots of people will adapt. A lot of people won't adapt. And I think too that there's always like the tech people and the people who are already kind of like have money, whether they made it or inherited or got it some other place, like, there's going to have to be retraining and, people just have to figure something out. And you're like, yeah, that's a lot of like real people. Like, do you have any children, parents, sisters, brothers in that boat? You might take it a bit more seriously because no one's really giving a shit right now. That's what it seems like because the shoe hasn't really dropped and how that affects, but even more so, the effect it's going to have on, like the uncertainty already on society because everyone talked to, it started after COVID, right? So, and after COVID, then there's the cost of living crisis, and then I don't know, elections and AI. Everyone just has this sense, including executives, right? This one VP of sales told me like he's just a little bit terrified of how fast things are changing, and that sense of what no one knows what's going to happen next month. Like the floor could drop out, which maybe it will, maybe it won't, but that anxiety creates again this reversion to it's harder for people to make better decisions, longer term decisions, the right decisions. They revert back to prior behavior. Give me the quick win. I just need like the 40,000 things right now for outbound. Like I need the quick win because this, that, the other. And it's like this, this like almost regression towards, I'm just going to turn in the crank. Like, and if the crank isn't working, I got to turn it harder. So I don't know how long, society will take to kind of adapt between, I don't know, because like you got AI and you got robotics, like who knows how much blue collar, how many people drive for Uber with there's a lot of tech
people aren't talking about that nearly enough.
Who knows, so I'm going back to in relationships, who knows what all that stuff is going to do, but if you're focusing on creating and building good relationships, whether you're going to be looking for jobs, looking for funding, looking for customers, fill in the blank, just having a base level of mental health, community health, creativity, people to talk to, like that's going to serve you. That's what I'm doing. Like trying to, how do I do things that are interesting to me that are, feel creative with the right people. And I still have to make money. I got 10 children. I got a big family. And I didn't start at Salesforce early enough to retire a long time ago. So even then, it's rather than going back to, hey, how did I make money in the before? It's, what feels right. Really to me, it's like more of an intuition because I don't feel like the things I do, I could go back and use, a regression analysis and AI to predict from what worked in the past, what's going to work for me in the future. But I can focus on what feels right, what's interesting, where are the gaps, and who can I do it with. And, feel like I keep doing that, then it's going to keep working out.
What's next for you?
Good question. So I'm going through, I went through my own midlife crisis the last few years, right? So I had a business doing outbound in North America that I was just sick of doing the work. And part of that was the work itself. Part of it wasn't a good partnership in business partnership for the long term. So I had a divorce out of that, business divorce. And so I've got this, first it was this, well, I want to make money doing what I love, but I have no idea what that is. So first, what do I actually like to do? If I could do something, what would that be? And for 2 years, I have no idea. And then over time, what I got more clarity is, what I actually really am drawn to and like to do are books. So that's writing with other people, helping other people. So, advising, crafting, writing new books. And the new books are a bit different. So one's called Income Operating System. The title's got to change, just how people can make more money. The other book's called Eat, Shit, and Grow, just kind of crazy family stories from having and supporting a family of 10. So the new books and working with some others. Again, talking to people about a new sales book, we'll see. So books, speaking, and partnerships. Works great for me when I have a really good partner, someone I trust. I've got a little business with a great partner in Brazil. It's amazing. Right? It's kind of predictable revenue in Brazil. They're growing. The North America business was declining. The Brazil one's growing, doing great. A lot based on things like culture, treating people well. It's not like the tactics. It's a lot of the soft skills, which lead to the right decisions and for the big picture and right decisions for the tactical stuff. So, whether you call it Ikigai, I'm on this path of making, I'm not making as much money now doing what I love as I did when I was doing really kind of full-time outbound stuff. But I'm on track and my plan is to make more money doing what I love. And again, I feel like I'm not totally locked into exactly, it keeps getting more clear. Then I'm making more money doing that, things I love to do, or even like to do, than I did doing the consulting. So, but
I love that.
Book speaking, partnerships,
like
this one. Yeah, this thing in Germany, it's promising. I want to do some stuff with this guy.
Love it.
And, I've struggled, like a lot of people, having friendships for a long time, and realize, I do like having, if I have a business or a project with someone who I like as a friend, then it makes it easier to maintain that versus being something else to do on top of all the kids and the things and the other. So,
Dale, we need to be friends.
You need to have a business together, guys.
The relationships is very interesting. I think the pendulum will swing way back. I think the pendulum, scale breaks everything. If we look at marketing automation, we look at cold outbound, we look at outreach and sales law, scale breaks everything. And so we need to come back to the other side of the pendulum. Let's wrap this up a little bit. You up for a little bit of rapid fire? See what you like, what you don't like.
What if I said no?
Then we wouldn't do it.
Okay. Well, I am. All right. Good thing.
What's the first app you check when you wake up in the morning?
Usually text, because if I have kids in the States, if there's some emergency or something, which there rarely is, but text.
Early bird or night owl?
I don't know. I haven't had a choice in either one or the other. So for so long, I have to get up early to get the kids to school and stay up late because, people and other time, like kids and the wives and things. Well, I like to talk late. So
what's your favorite indulgent snack or food?
Coffee. Good snobby coffee.
Snobby coffee.
What's your favorite?
Hey, just like Adam.
I'm a big coffee guy.
No, I like actually lattes or hot chocolate. So I live in Edinburgh. The best place is called Modern Standard, which is nearby, and or a hot chocolate where they don't use the powder; they actually melt chocolate in. It's usually $25. So,
So living in Edinburgh. Edinburgh is one of my favorite cities. I coincidentally had the best Thai food of my life in some back alley in Edinburgh, probably 15 years ago. But of all the places you've been, or maybe you haven't, what's your dream vacation destination?
For me, I actually don't know. I couldn't tell you because my brain can't get out of the mode of if I'm going places for work or with kids or, some other thing. So I've traveled a lot. So I don't know. I don't think it'd be a destination. Oh, wait. Okay. Probably go back to Yosemite. That's like,
Beautiful.
there's I really love being there with some family. Like 10 years ago. And I'd been a couple times, but that last time there's something that was really like special about it.
I love that.
Awesome. Let's wrap it up. If you were to fix go-to-market today, what's one thing that you would tell people today? Like, go do this. I think I know what the answer is, but let's wrap it with that.
Yeah, I think that we figure out how to, create better relationships with your customers and ask them for more referrals.
Love that. I knew that was going to be the answer.
If it wasn't that, I think it'd be, everyone figure out how to, maybe exercise and sleep more.
I love it. Aaron, thank you so much for joining the show. Thank you for all the knowledge you have given to the sales community. It was a pleasure to chat with you, man.
Hey, guys. I feel like I'm just getting started, too.
I love it. That's the best part.
We can go another hour.